Minutes, 2 minutes to air, 1 minute to the live stream. One minute to air. The live stream has started.
Good evening. It's January 16th. It is 7:00 p.m. I want to now officially call this meeting of the Durham City Council to order for purposes of faithfully executing the business of the people of Durham. Good evening to all of you in chamber, to my honorable colleagues, to those who are watching on whatever platform you may be watching. Thank you for joining us on this holiday schedule night, or Tuesday night meeting. Madam Clerk, would you please call the, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Let's call the order. I'm going to ask now, remembering that we are still enjoying echoes of the MLK celebration from yesterday, to engage in a moment of silent meditation. Thank you. At this time, I'm going to ask Councilmember Freeman to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. It's our practice to stand and salute the flag.
Thank you so much. I should have said at the top of the hour that Mayor Williams, his honor, is not here. He is in Washington, D.C., visiting with the president along with other mayors from around the country. So in accordance to our rules and our charter and state law, I'll be assuming the gavel tonight as Mayor Pro Tem in this meeting. Pray for all of us. I want to thank you all for being here. Today is a very special day. Earlier today, the council, in keeping fidelity with our charge as a council, by our charter, voted to fill the Ward 3 seat on the dais. And we are pleased to announce that the council member designate is in the room tonight with family and friends and guests. And before we call the roll, we're going to take care of the matter of swearing the council member designate Cook in, and then she will assume her seat. I will invite her to assume her seat, and then we will have a full roll, and the circle will be complete. We will be full at 7. I want to welcome Council Member Designate Cook to the chamber and her family, and thank her for being here. Council Member Designate, are you ready to take the oath of office? I invite you to the podium along with your friends and family and supporters, whoever wants to stand around you as your village. And our clerk will administer the oath.
You're going to say I and insert your name.
I, Chelsea Cook,
Have read, understand,
have read and understand
and subscribe to the Code of Ethics
and subscribe to the Code of Ethics
of the City of Durham,
of the City of Durham,
and do hereby solemnly
and do hereby solemnly
affirm
affirm
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws of the United
the
States
Constitution and laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of my office
discharge the duties of my office
as a member of the Durham City Council Ward 3 seat.
as a member of the Durham City Council Ward 3 seat.
So help me.
So help me.
We'll take a few moments for you to get some photo ops.
Thank you.
One for you, and I'm going to take two, okay? I left the notepad by your seat, okay?
Councilmember Cook, on behalf of His Honor the Mayor and the entire city, congratulations. I invite you to take your seat on the dais. Madam Clerk, would you now please call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Mayor Williams has requested an excused absence, and it was granted. Mayor Pro Tem Middleton,
I'm here.
Councilmember Baker,
Here.
Councilmember Cook,
Here.
thank you. Councilmember Caballero,
Here.
Councilmember Freeman,
Present.
Councilmember Rist.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and thank you, colleagues. Again, thank you, everyone in the audience, in the chamber, and again, congratulations, Councilmember Cook. You look like a natural sitting there. At this time, I'm pleased to read a proclamation. This is Human Trafficking Prevention Month, a very serious issue, and we are committed to doing our part here in Durham to combating this great evil and this scourge on our planet. So in honor of Human Trafficking Prevention Month, I'm going to read a proclamation we presented to Kathy Nunez, Co-Executive Director, on behalf of Danielle Cara, Co-Executive Director, The Bridge International. Kathy here? Come on up. Proclamation. Whereas Durham community that understands human trafficking is a crime that exploits the most vulnerable and weakens the health and well-being of individuals and families. And whereas, despite 20 years since passing the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, human trafficking still exists. And whereas human trafficking can be prevented by building individual, community, and societal understanding and resilience, reducing social inequities, and addressing conditions that contribute to exploitation. And whereas the Bridge International is dedicated to ensuring anyone impacted by human trafficking can receive individualized care, understanding the impact of trauma, incorporating cultural and linguistic needs. And whereas a successful response to human trafficking requires a coordinated, community-wide effort that individual people who have experienced human trafficking with relevant expertise and will collaborate to strengthen trafficking-related services and programs. And whereas every individual, community, and organization can contribute to enhancing human trafficking awareness, prevention, and response by learning ways to help at thebridgeinternational.net. That's thebridgeinternational.net. Now, therefore, I, Leonardo Williams, Mayor of the City of Durham, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim January 2024 as Human Trafficking Prevention Month. Witness my hand in the corporate seal of the City of Durham, North Carolina, this 16th day of January 2024. Leonardo Williams, Mayor.
Thank you, City of Durham. This is a true honor. Thank you.
And this is for you. Thank you. Please let us know if we can be helpful. Thank you. Take care. Thank you so much to all of our friends at the Bridge International for the great work you continue to do. At this time, colleagues, I will yield to any announcements by members of the council. I will look to my left.
Colleagues, I need to request an absence from this Thursday's work session.
Where are you going? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Any other announcements?
Did you want to do that now?
Yeah, I got it. You can, do you have announcements?
I was just going to congratulate Councilmember Cook and just say thank you for stepping up to do this. I appreciate all the applicants, all those who interviewed, and all those who were involved in the process. I know it's not a quick and tidy one, but I appreciate everyone's patience in getting us through to this point. And then I also just wanted to thank all those who have organized and prepared countless number of activities all throughout this weekend for Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, which was yesterday. And then to just say that I am always reinvigorated as we start the year with that kind of celebration. And I want to say that all of the hymns got me humming this morning. And I will say that this is, it's very timely. I also want to add that it's important to just keep in mind that this one day that we celebrate as a country is not celebrated everywhere. And it is because Coretta Scott King brought it forward in 1986 that it is something that comes up for everyone across the country. And I just want to encourage our other municipal partners to consider what that means across the state. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Council Member. Councilmember Cook, do you have any announcements you'd like to make? Or any words?
Not at this time, but I do appreciate everyone's time in this process, and I'm very honored to be here.
Absolutely. Honored to have you. Councilmember Riss, did you have? Councilmember Barbiero, please, good evening.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I just want to welcome Councilmember Cook to the dais, and I also want to want to give a lot of gratitude for the clerk's office for shepherding us through this process. So thank you all. It's always a lot of work, extra work for you all. So thank you, and also just want to piggyback on what Councilmember Freeman said around all the community organizations and all the events that started through the weekend and are continuing through the week.
Thank you, Councilmember. Colleagues, thank you so much. Finally, let me again add my word of welcome and congratulations to Councilmember Cook and welcome you to the dais. Tonight, the mayor could not be here. He's with POTUS in D.C., but his thoughts are here, certainly, and all the well wishes of the city, the entire city are with you. So welcome to the dais, Councilmember. Let me echo my colleagues' observations about the MLK celebrations on yesterday. Got started about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning yesterday and went into the evening. I just want to congratulate Durham on the incredible array and diversity and celebrations. Had a great time on a particular shout-out Book Harvest, where we were out at yesterday. They always have a great time. I actually was transformed into the mayor's photographer yesterday for all of the school kids who wanted to take a picture with the mayor, which is a cool thing, so I get it. So we had a great time. I want to thank the Triangle MLK Committee as well for the whole host of observations for the MLK holiday on yesterday, and thank all of you who showed up at those events. Speaking of POTUS, I need to inform you colleagues that on Thursday for the work session, I'm not asking for an excused absence, but I will be late. President Biden will be in the area, and the mayor is going to be at his house on Thursday, and his host, the president, is going to be here on Thursday. So I'll be representing Durham at that event, and then I'll hightail it back to the work session. So I will be late. I won't be absent, but I will be late. In accordance with our rules and our procedures and our tradition, senior member, Council Member Freeman will assume the gavel until I arrive on Thursday at work session. So we thank her in advance for that, and I thank you for your allowing me to be a little late on Thursday to represent Durham. We definitely want Durham represented whenever the president comes to the area, and we send our best wishes to the mayor, who will be at his house while the president is here on Thursday. That's all with respect to announcements. We do need to take action on Councilmember Baker's request for an excused absence, and at this time, I'll entertain a motion to excuse Councilmember Baker.
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilmember Freeman and a second from Councilmember Caballero. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote? Would you please close the vote and report out?
The motion passes 7-0.
All right, thank you very much. Councilmember, you are excused. At this time, sorry. Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, it was 6-0.
All right, thank you. You still excused, man. You got it. At this time, I'm going to read into the record our items on the consent agenda. The consent agenda is comprised of items that the council has already had an opportunity to do a deep dive on at a previous work session and can be passed with one vote. However, any member of the council or any member of the public can pull an item from the consent agenda. Got you. All right. Can pull an item from the consent agenda, for consideration later on in the meeting. But before I do that, I'm going to yield to our wonderful city manager for any priority items that she may have. Madam Manager, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and members of the Durham City Council. I also would like to say congratulations to Councilperson Cook, and I look forward to working with you as we move into the next few months, weeks, and days. I do have one priority item for you today. It is agenda item number 22, zoning map change, Cortez Drive Townhouses. The applicant updated the development plan, which is attachment D, to include the following proffers. A minimum of 3% of units will be income restricted to those earning 80% or less of the area median income for at least 30 years. And number 2, a one-time donation to the Durham Public Schools in the amount of $36,000. That is all I have for you this evening.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Your items are noted. At this time, I'm going to yield to our city attorney for any priority items she may have. Good evening, Councilor.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Middleton and members of the City Council. Welcome, Councilmember Cook. It's very nice to see you. I look forward to working with you very soon. The City Attorney's Office has no priority items.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. At this time, I'll yield now to our city clerk for any priority items that may be coming out of her office. Good evening, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. The city clerk's office has no priority items, and yes, I'd like to welcome our new council member as well.
Cool. Thank you. So remember everything I said about the consent agenda. At this time, I'm going to read items into the record. Item number 1, approval of city council minutes. Item number 2, Durham City County Environmental Affairs Board appointment. Item number 4, contract with Open Table Ministry, Inc., temporary weather-related emergency shelter and supportive services. Item number 5, cooperative group purchase contract, rear mount ladder fire trucks. Item number 6, contract amendment number 12 for ST-264C, professional services related to Fayetteville Road improvements. Item number 7, contract amendment number 1 to ST-327C, pavement management services. Item number 8, contract ST-329, street repairs and repaving 2024. Item number 9, contract ST-329C, Pavement Management Services. Item number 10, Contract ST-330, Pavement Preservation 2024. Item number 11, Contract ST-331, Unpaved Roads Improvement 2024. Item number 12, Contract SW-94, Sidewalk Repairs 2024. Item number 13, Contract SW-94C, Inspection and Ombudsman Services. Item number 14, North Carolina Department of Transportation Schedule C and Schedule D, Municipal Agreements for the Maintenance and Operations of the Durham Traffic Signal System. Item number 15, Construction of a Traffic Signal at South Miami Boulevard, Juniper Street, and North Guthrie Avenue. Item number 16, First Amendment to Supplemental Agreement Number 1 to the Master Agreement for Transportation Engineering On-Call Services between the City and STV Engineers, Inc., CT-19030. Item number 17, FY 2023 through 2024 Transit CIP Ordinance Amendment. Item number 18, Supplemental.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I didn't want to pull the item. I just wanted to appreciate that it's coming forward. I want to say there's a lot of great projects in that item, and just point that out. That's all.
Thank you, Councilmember. Item number 18, Supplemental Agreement Number 2 for on-call professional services for the Fayetteville and Holloway Transit Emphasis Corridors. Under General Business Agenda, Public Hearings, item number 20, Text Amendment - Teer Quarry TC2300003. I think I got all those zeros. Item number 21, Zoning Map Change, Teer Quarry Watershed Overlay. Item number 22, Zoning Map Change, Cortez Drive Townhouses. That ends the reading of our agenda. Madam Manager, by my reckoning, there were no pulled items. Do you concur?
I concur, sir.
Thank you so much. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilmember Ritz and a second from Councilmember Friedman. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote? Please close the vote and report out.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. Was that your first vote? Was that or did you take one before his? Excuse. Congratulations. You're in. Consent agenda passes. At this time now, we will turn to our general business public hearings. Item number 20, text amendment for Teer Quarry, and we will now yield to the staff. Good evening, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, new member Cook. Welcome here. My name is Aaron Kane. I'm with the Planning Department, and I'll be presenting this item to you tonight. Before I begin, staff would like to state for the record that all Planning Department hearing items have been advertised and noticed in accordance with state and local laws, and affidavits of all notices are on file with the Planning Department. If you'll give me just a moment to share my screen and pull up the presentation. We've got a bit longer of a presentation than you're used to seeing on these text amendment and presentation items tonight. This is, there we go. I have all sorts of craziness going on here. Let me see if I can get this. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So this presentation you're going to see tonight is going to be a joint presentation between myself and my colleague Sid Miller with the Water Management Department, where we'll be giving you an overview of Durham's water supply, what the Teer Quarry is, what the intake for the Teer Quarry will be from the Eno River, and therefore afterwards the changes to the UDO in order to comply with requirements from the state on that Eno River intake for the Teer Quarry. So the goals for tonight's presentation are to provide information about the watershed overlay changes and for you to eventually adopt the new EA2 critical watershed overlay district into the UDO. And with that, I will turn it over to Sid Miller.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Middleton, City Council. As Aaron said, I'm Sid Miller. I'm with the Department of Water Management. I'm going to try to keep this brief, but feel free to ask questions as I go. Anyway, sorry about the echo. So I'm going to give you a little information about the water supply, how Teer Quarry fits into that, and what the project is. So what you're seeing, are you seeing? Oh, there, sorry. What you're seeing on the screen is just our existing water supplies, which are Lake Mickey, Little River Reservoir, and Jordan Lake. You'll see that our two water supplies, Lake Mickey and Little River Reservoir, are north of the city, and Jordan Lake is just south. Lake Mickey was our first reservoir, built quite some time ago, almost 100 years ago, and Little River Reservoir more recently. Jordan Lake was built actually not long after Little River Reservoir. It's a much larger federal project. And this chart just shows what the available water supply is from each of those sources. You'll see that I've crossed off Jordan Lake because that is actually not yet available to us. That's another project that we're working on. So the total expected supply from the two sources is about 28 million gallons of water a day. This just shows our current water supply against our expected growth in demand. And what I want to point out is we're already bumping up against that expected yield from those supplies. This is where Teer Quarry comes in. This is a nice picture of the quarry. It's very beautiful. It lies in the northern part of the city. So this is a critical source for the city, and it's part of our water resources portfolio. We've worked with the state on the rules for how we might use the River and the quarry. This is an overview. It shows the quarry. It shows where the future intake would be, which is just, well, so if you look at the quarry, it's kind of like a mitten, and the proposed intake would be right by that thumb. This picture shows why this situation is just perfect. So you'll see that blue line is an approximation of where our existing raw water lines are. Those are in the ground. They transport water from our two reservoirs south, and it goes right by the quarry. And then we've got the River that runs right by the quarry. So a short pipe connecting that raw water line to the quarry would allow us to fill the quarry from our existing two reservoirs, and then a short pipe from the River to the quarry would allow us to fill the quarry from the River. This is just explaining why. So there's an existing emergency intake further downstream on the River, but it is not in a good location for us to use to fill the quarry. It's downstream, it's at a lower elevation, so a new intake is really what we need to do in order to fill the quarry without the use of, well, basically just by gravity. A new intake on the River, when completed, would look much like this, not with the dam, but where you see the concrete on the bank. That's where the intake, that's what the intake would look like. This is just a diagram essentially showing the same. So this went through a rulemaking process with the state in order to establish the water supply classifications for both the quarry and the River. We began with a resolution of support from this council and from Durham County. And then just 3 years later, it was approved by the Environmental Management Commission and then went through the rulemaking process with the General Assembly and its Rules Review Commission. That was finally completed last year.
Thank you, Sid. So the Teer Quarry text amendment is a staff-initiated amendment to the UDO required per state watershed regulations, which proposes changes to Article 4, Article 8, and Article 12 of the UDO. The purpose of this amendment is to protect a critical water supply resource for Durham, as a new intake structure will be constructed to withdraw water from the Eno River into the quarry. The new intake will create a new watershed overlay classification that will be applied to properties near the new intake. This amendment to the UDO creates a new watershed overlay district, the Eno River District A2 or EA2. This overlay district will be applied to properties within a half-mile of the new intake and will change the overlay from protected EB to critical EA2. While the properties in the overlay will change to the critical designation, properties will be subject to the overlay rules at the time the lot was created. The new rules would only apply if properties are redeveloped in the future. This map shows the existing watershed overlay boundaries and where the new EA2 will be applied. This table shows the regulations that apply to existing watershed overlay districts and the new EA2 district. The regulations that apply to the EA critical watershed overlay will be the same that will apply to the EA2. While the Eno River Critical District A and the new Eno River Critical District EA2 both have the same regulations. The difference between the two is that the mapped distance for the EA is 1 mile, while the mapped distance for the EA2 is only a half mile. That is the end of the presentation, and staff from planning and water management are here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much for that very informative presentation. At this time, I'm going to declare this public hearing open. And before I go to anyone who may have any commentary from the chamber on our online platform, I'm going to yield to my honorable colleagues to see if they have any questions or comments. Councilmember Freeman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I just had one question regarding the protected water supply needs. I just realizing that we're meeting that kind of max number. Is there going to be or does this number take into account the residents that'll be coming online and Research Triangle Park?
So the demand projection or demand forecast takes into account past demand, current demand, and what's expected in the future.
And so I know that the park wasn't necessarily in the plan. I'm assuming that that's been included to date.
Yes.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Baker, please.
Question. I apologize for not submitting this question earlier, but so in the staff report, it says that some of the motivation behind not extending this for 1 mile and only extending for half a mile is the potential creation of a number of nonconformities. So I'm just curious, do we know if there are going to be significant numbers of nonconformities that are created from this rezoning?
At the current distance of a half mile that is proposed, there will likely be a number of nonconformities considering the difference in impervious surface allotment, but we don't know exactly how many of those lots would not meet at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Colleagues, anyone else?
Just a question. So if there are nonconformities, what's the process for addressing those then, once you determine the nonconformities?
Well, so in this case, what we've done is in the UDO, we've said that through the creation of the EA2, that those lots that are current and existing of record at this time will be able to follow the old protected watershed overlay rules and not the new ones. The new rules would only take place if there's redevelopment of the lots. And at that time, they'll be required to meet the new lower impervious surface allotment on those lots.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Colleagues, anyone else? All right, Madam Clerk, I don't have any cards for this item. I do see one person that was supposed, Yu Wang, signed a virtual, but I don't see him in queue. All right. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in chamber with us tonight that wishes to speak on this item? This is a public hearing. Seeing none, I'm going to bring the matter back before the council and declare this public hearing closed. This matter requires two motions. Motion number one, to adopt an ordinance taking property out of the Eno River District A and Eno River District B watershed protection overlays and establishing the same as the Eno River District A2 watershed protection overlay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Excuse the interruption.
No, not at all, please.
There are two items. The first should be the text amendment. We have to adopt I know they're back to back, so it could be confusing. I just wanted to point that out.
I'm just reading number 21. Please forgive me. Thank you. No, please interrupt when that's happening. Motion number one, forgive me. Thank you, staff. Motion number one, to adopt an ordinance amending the Unified Development Ordinance incorporating revisions to Article 4, zoning districts, Article 8, environment protections, Article 12, infrastructure. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilmember Caballero and a second from Councilmember Baker. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote? Please close the vote and report out.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Motion number two, to adopt a consistency statement as required by NCGS 160D-605.
So moved.
Second.
Heard a motion from Councilmember Baker and a second from Councilmember Riss. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote? Please close the vote and report out.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you so much. Item number 20 is discharged. We now move to, forgive me for getting ahead of myself, we now move to item number 21, zoning map change, Teer Quarry Watershed Overlay, and at this time, we'll yield to hear from our staff.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Middleton. Aaron Kane with the Planning Department again. As a companion to the text amendment case you just heard, this case is Z23-00030. The Environmental Management Commission approved a reclassification of Durham's Teer Quarry to a surface water supply on April 26, 2023. The proposed zoning map change will apply the newly approved EA2 Watershed Protection Overlay District to these areas within a half-mile of the intake that are not already in a critical watershed area. All watershed protection regulations must be adopted by the City of Durham and Durham County in accordance with the requirements of the North Carolina Environmental Management Commission. The Durham County Commissioners adopted this, the tier change, the text amendment that you just approved on January 8th, 2024. This application of the watershed protection overlays to protect Durham's potable water supply as a new intake in Teer Quarry is installed. Thank you, and staff and the applicant are available to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. I'm now declaring this public hearing open. Before I go to the chamber or online, I'm going to yield to my honorable colleagues to see if there are any questions or comments from the dais. Councilmember Freeman, please.
Thank you. Just a follow-up question from the Planning Commission around the boring and the impact on the residents. I just want to make sure that that question has been answered.
I'm guessing you're talking about the shaft that would be bored from the Eno River to the quarry. So yes. So what would happen is the contractor would install vibration monitoring. Well, first they would do a survey of the homes in the area. Then they would install vibration monitoring equipment and follow all of it. So if there's anything of concern, the contractor would have to deal with it.
And so essentially we'll be following the procedures that we've laid out for other contractors who are doing any drilling in the area with the boring. And I just want to make sure that the contractor would be liable in this instance?
I believe so. The contractor has not yet been selected. This project hasn't gotten to that point.
And I just want to make sure that that contractor's insurance information is on file, because I do know that that was part of an issue for a previous situation, and just want to get in front of it.
I'm sure that our risk management division would insist.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Councilmember. Colleagues, anyone else? All right, seeing none from the dais. Madam Clerk, I spoke in error. This is item number 21, and I didn't see Mr. or you Wang in queue, do you? All right. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in chamber tonight who wishes to speak on this item? This is a public hearing. Seeing none, I'm bringing the matter back before the council, declaring this public hearing closed. Colleagues, this item requires two motions. Motion number one is to adopt an ordinance taking property out of the Eno River District A and Eno River District B watershed protection overlays, and, excuse me, and establishing the same as the Eno River District A2 watershed protection overlay.
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilmember Freeman and a second from Councilmember Riss. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote? Please close the vote and report out.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Motion number two is to adopt a consistency statement as required by NCGS 160D-605.
So moved.
Second.
I've heard a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote? Please close the vote and report out.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Item number 21 is discharged. We now move to item number 22, zoning map change, Cortez Drive Townhouses. This is a public hearing. We're going to now yield to hear from our staff. Good evening again.
Thank you, me, one more time. Mayor Pro Tem Middleton, honorable members of council, this case is Z22-00040, Cortez Drive Townhouses. Laura Holloman of McAdams proposes to change the zoning designation of 10 parcels of land totaling 46.98 acres and generally located to the east of Ancher Avenue between Cortez Drive and Jones Circle. The current zoning is residential suburban 20. The applicant proposes to change this designation to Planned Development Residential 6.003 to allow up to 282 townhouse units. The properties are currently designated mixed-use neighborhood on the place type map. The proposed PDR 6.003 zoning is inconsistent with the designated place type. If the proposed zoning is approved, staff recommends a change to the place type designation to apartment and townhouse neighborhood. The Planning Commission recommended denial of this request on June 13th, 2023 by a vote of 8-4. This case was previously presented to City Council on November 6, 2023. The public hearing was opened and the applicant requested a continuance to this meeting today. Since this case was reviewed by the Planning Commission, 2 additional proffers have been made by the applicant. They were brought up by the city manager during her priority items, but I'll bring them to you again. A minimum of 3% of units will be income restricted to those earning 80% or less of area median income for at least 30 years, and a one-time donation to Durham Public Schools in the amount of $36,000. Staff and the applicant are available to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. I'm going to declare this public hearing open, but before we go to the gallery or online, I'm going to yield to my honorable colleagues for any questions or comments of staff. All right, seeing none, I'm going to invite the applicant, I believe Mr. Ghosh, that's you, representing the applicant, up for your presentation. Sir, how much time do you anticipate needing?
I won't need more than 5 minutes, but before I begin, I did want to...
Put 7 minutes on the clock, please. Thank you.
I did want to see if the council would entertain a continuance on this item, specifically for one reason, which is that we have not had an opportunity to meet with the new council member, welcome, by the way, and wanted to see if we would have some opportunity to schedule some time to meet with Councilmember Cook before the next meeting. And if I understood the work session agenda correctly, it does not appear that there are any public hearing items at the February 5th council meeting, so I didn't know if that would be a good landing spot for this, just to give the applicant here a little bit more time.
Hold on for a second. Let me first check with staff about our schedule and
Good evening. So it is true, staff had not planned on bringing any items because there were no items ready for that meeting. It is a very tight turnaround for us to get stuff back on the agenda, but it is certainly, it's the pleasure of the council.
all right. I appreciate the request, and I'm not speaking for the council, I'm speaking for myself. I don't know that it's precedented because we have a new council member to grant another continuance, but I will yield and gauge the will of the council. I'm amenable to it, but I will yield to gauge the will of the council. Colleagues, anyone? You cool with it?
I would just ask if Councilmember Cook actually wanted to meet with the developer. I don't know that that's up.
We won't have
It's
our-
not a mandatory thing, and it's not something that you have to do. It's usually customary to ask your questions in public, so, yeah, just making sure you're aware of that, that's all.
I saw a thumbs up on this side. All right. February 6th is a date certain? Or can that be a date, given our workload? I know it's a quick, I heard the comment about it, but what's our workload looking like for that day?
We can certainly get it on that if that is what you all would like to do.
But my reckoning, the council has spoken, we will keep this public hearing open until February 6th. And
Is it February 5th?
February 5th. The 5th? Okay, February 5th until, until that date. That's the date certain. So that's the will of the council. See you then.
We'll see you then. Thank you.
Oh, snap. Well, colleagues, wow, by my reckoning, that is the end of our agenda. With no other items to come before the council, let us again welcome Councilmember Cook. Congratulations and welcome to the fray. With that being said, it is 7:44 p.m. on January 16th. I'm declaring this meeting closed. God bless Durham.
Y'all have been running some really short meetings.
Wow. That's impressive. Seems like when he's at the gavel, though, he doesn't. Oh, yeah, right. I'm going to show you where we put these in the back room, okay? Like all of their files.